Hey there everyone, in today's video we are going to be installing a smart thermostat. This thermostat controls some resistive baseboard heaters, electric baseboard heaters. The thermostat we are going to be installing is one of these Mysa smart Wi-Fi thermostats. These are one of the few options that there are for controlling line voltage 240 volt or 120 volt resistive heaters, whether it's baseboard, fan forest, or the radiant in ceiling. So we're going to be installing these today, replacing standard old school thermostats. The first step for this install is going to be to shut off the power. You could open the box up and put a non-contact voltage detector on it or a meter. However, for this case, I'm just going to shut off every heater circuit in here. And who cares if anything else that's not on it gets shut off, because it's heat, doesn't really matter. This is a pretty easy job to do live, which I have done it many times before, but this is what I do for work. If you're using this as an educational video, you should absolutely shut the power off. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this, hire someone to do it for you, as there is the unlikely scenario that you could get 240 volts across you, which does not feel nice and could absolutely kill you. Our electrical panel is in this garage here. This install is going to be on a 240 volt heater. This thermostat can also be installed on 120 volt heaters. I will show that during the installation. We're just going to turn off all of the heat. We know in this panel what is heat, not only because it's labeled, but you will have your common trip breakers where you have your handle tie on to ensure that both sides trip. Looking right here, I have 20 amp here, electric heat, 20 amp basement. This 15 amp is your split counter plug, so not that, but we have another 20 amp heat here. And we have a couple other heat ones, but I think those ones probably will do it based on the size of heaters that are on there, but we'll double check that. You can't verify if the heat's off by waiting for it to click like you could with a relay, because the thermostats will still click internally whether power is on or not. This is our existing thermostat here. We can take the cover off first to get access to the screws. And then for this, you can see it's stuck on there. So it's probably been there since 2003. So you want to take a knife and cut around it so you don't pull the paint off the wall. Or at least if it does decide to pull the paint, it will stop at that score. You can see it did like to pull the paint in a bit, so that's why we score it, so it will stop at the line. So with most thermostats, you're only switching one side of the 240 volt. You'll always have 120 at the heater. And if you were to actually meter it, you would find at the heater that you'll probably still have 240, because even when the thermostats are off, they oftentimes pass voltage through still. And we can't verify if this is off, which it is. Would have been a better idea to do that before, but I was pretty confident it was. So we've got three 12-2 Lumexes coming in here. This should be our power in, which we will be able to check that as well by doing a resistance test, as it does matter on these smart thermostats. So is what you can do is do a continuity test, and because the resistive heater will show up as basically a short circuit right through because it's a resistive load, if you get a solid continuity test, you know that's your load side. So there, like I guessed, this is completely open, so this is your power coming in, and there you get continuity, so you know that's you're metering the resistance through the heater. I will open up our thermostat here on the floor by the door where there's some better light. This has already been opened. Here is our thermostat. You can see there you have your L1, your L2 or neutral, and your load. It says neutral there because this can be configured for controlling 120 volt heaters too. However, this case will be a 240 volt. So this is good for up to 1900 watts at 120 volts or 3800 watts at 240 volts. These are your instructions that I was showing with the label on the back. You can see that this is for your 120 volt setup, and this is for your 240 volt setup. You can see right there, this specific heater is a 2000 watt at 240 volts, which is what we are. If it's at 208 volts for a three-phase system, it would be at 1500 watts. And this other heater over here is 1000 watts at 240, 750 at 208. That means we have a total of 3000 watts, which is within the controllable range of that thermostat. To be able to access inside of this, to screw it to the box, you need to take off this small Phillips screw at the bottom of the thermostat. And there is your front piece off. There's your connectors. Don't want to bend those. Falling apart, so we'll tighten that back up. So we know this is our load here, this second black, which is kind of weird that they wouldn't make the red the load, but I guess they're trying to show that that's your opposite of the split phase. So we can connect our load, which we tested that this was our load here. Because this is what we had the continuity through to the other side of our split phase. Let's get these nice and tight. And then this will be our line 1 right here. And usually if it was a normal thermostat, that is all you need to do because it doesn't need the other leg. Only reason it does is to power the unit because it needs power to operate because it's electronic. So then line 2 will go to this guy, which I'm not reusing that crap. Your line 1 and line 2 is not specific though, as it's just 240 volt, there is no difference. We'll tuck this back into the box now. It would have been nicer if they would have gone with a 4-inch square with a mud ring on it. Would have given more room for these fat devices, but it will go. Then we'll reinstall the 632 machine screws. And then instead of just tightening down the screws, it's easier to push it in, or better to push it in so you can feel if it's going to squish anything, which I can tell it's not, it's just hitting the wall, so that's fine. You just don't get any feel if you're just using the screws. I'm going to stick a level on it. And then the front of this thing can go back on. And then tighten the little screw at the bottom. This is the Mysa app that needs to be installed on your device to pair it to the thermostat. So I'll turn the power back on so this can be paired to the thermostat. We'll turn these breakers back on. There you can see the power is now on, so it can now be paired to the phone.
Bad device?
I'd say. Yeah. Basement heat, I guess. It now has to be paired to the Wi-Fi to proceed with the setup. I can feel it. The heat is indeed on, which is probably by default. Turns the heat on. So that's connected to the Wi-Fi now?
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, apparently it's 19 in here, or that's what it's set to.
2 minutes.
Updating it.
Yeah. Mysa app running until the update is complete. Oh.
That must be the update. Oh, it was just lit up everything. All the pixels. Could have sworn it just clicked in there. What does it want you to do now?
Just click next. It says your Mysa has the latest firmware version. Mysa will maintain the room temperature at the desired set point temperature for 2 hours, after which Mysa decreases room temperature by 0.5 degrees Celsius, less than the set point temperature. I'll just go with default for now.
Yeah. So I guess the 5 degrees is the outside temperature, and 19.3 inside, humidity 56%.
That's cool. I didn't know it gave you an outside temperature.
Yeah, and humidity, I wonder how close that is to that humidity switch in here. That says 56%, I wonder when this clicks on at. Yeah, this is clicking on around like 54. I don't even know what this thing controls. I don't hear a fan coming on. Maybe it takes a bit. Can you click on it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Why don't we do that?
So that must have clicked on the heat, I'm guessing. Did that click it off now?
Yeah.
And can you do it? You must be able to do it regular way too.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the click on. That must have been the click off. That's cool.
Oh, now I can do that. I can do a schedule.
So now you're making a schedule?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it early on, so I guess I'll every day. Baseboard would heat. Set point temperature.
So you'll probably do something like cooler during the day until you come down here in the afternoon or whatever.
Yeah. Event time. I guess I could just turn it on at 4:45.
Yeah, have it turn on to, I guess, turn it on to whatever temperature you want for the afternoon.
Wonder what I want down here, 20 or 19?
Probably 20, 21.
21. So 4:45 p.m. it should turn on at 21 is I think how that works.
Yeah. And then you could make another one for, say, what, 1 a.m., turn back down to 18, 17, whatever you'd want
I see.
whatever you'd want your non-occupied temperature.
Right. So
Should be pretty similar to that Leviton smart light switch you have. Just you're turning on heat instead of lights.
so at 11:45 p.m. every night of the week it'll go down to 16.
Yeah. Or say, I guess, if you really wanted to get fancy, like for Friday or Saturday nights when you're up later, you could bump that to 1, 2 a.m.
Right.
to keep that temperature longer.
Okay, so the way I see it now is at 4:45 p.m. every day it'll go up to 21.
Yeah.
At 11:45 p.m. it'll go back down to 16.
I would say, too, for Saturdays and Sundays when you're more likely to hang out down here, you'd want
A separate schedule for that one.
Yeah, you'd want to add one for it to stay at 21 during the day. It looks like it's got some sort of infrared sensors down here. Not sure what that's for. Yeah, so that's 240 volt.
Oh, I guess I have to put a rate in there from my
Yeah, so you have
From
to
the
find what
utility.
BC Hydro charges per kilowatt hour. I do find that interesting. They don't give you an option for 208 volt if you're in an apartment building where you'd likely have 208, two legs of a three-phase system. That, yeah, it does dim, and once you touch it, it wakes up. Oh, maybe it's just when you wave in front. Maybe that's what that sensor's for. When you wave in front of it, it brightens up. I'm not exactly sure. That is it for the video on this guy. You saw it just got brighter as I walked up to it. There's a whole bunch of different settings that can be changed, and it can be customized quite a bit. Of course, this right now is set to reading the temperature in Celsius, but that can be changed, as well as how it brightens the display if you walk up to it. A whole bunch of different options. So that's all from the app. But as far as the electrical install, that's it. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give a thumbs up. Any comments, questions, feel free to leave those down below. Alrighty, thanks for watching.